All right, so while divorce rates overall are declining, but the number of older adults, I should say, splitting up, known as gray divorce, is on the rise.
Yeah, this is pretty intriguing when you think about it. So divorce going down, but older adults going up as far as divorce rate. And more than half of married Americans say divorce would derail their retirement plans. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about the financial burden, especially of a gray divorce. Financial instructor Michael Masserant is back from the Retirement Education Foundation. So, Michael, is it different when we talk about a gray divorce? So we're talking about a divorce midlife
what
or
does
so.
That mean? Yeah.
Typically 50s or older is what they're calling a gray divorce, yeah.
And the impact of that financially, just put that into context for us.
Yeah, so again, not a fun topic, but these are the kinds of things that can really catch people off guard financially. So with a gray divorce, someone who's in their 50s or older getting divorced, all of a sudden we have someone has a lifestyle that they're accustomed to, and all of a sudden the income gets cut in half. The expenses double. The retirement savings get cut in half. One Social Security down the road for retirement planning goes away. Taxes go up because you go from a married filing joint tax filer to a single tax filer. So everything that could go wrong, financially speaking, through a divorce will go wrong, and most people are not prepared for that.
No, most people are planning to retire together.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So what happens when you derail that whole plan?
So the first thing that someone has to do, if they are considering or going through a divorce, they've got to get their feet underneath them to understand what is their new reality. Because unfortunately, and numbers might not be nice, but math is math. Unfortunately, they might not be able to have the same lifestyle in retirement if they're divorced, if they did have while they're together. Now, that is by no means a reason to stay with someone if you're unhappy. I totally get that. But the reality is you might need to adjust your lifestyle. You may need to go back to work or work longer than expected and increase your savings to get back on track if you are getting divorced later in life.
It almost feels like what is the worst of the bad options, essentially. But we were talking about this in the first segment about the Wall Street Journal report saying divorced couples, on paper divorced, but still trying to live in the same house. By what you're saying, that's understandable. May sound ridiculous to people out there, but it feels understandable by the way you're putting it.
It might be the option they're forced with, because now all of a sudden your household income gets cut in half, and now you're looking to either rent or buy a home. You have other expenses that aren't going away, and most people aren't prepared for that. So it might take them several years to get back on their feet financially to recover from that divorce event.
So when you're looking at your accounts, if you are on the cusp of a gray divorce or trying to figure out if you can make this happen, what are you looking for? Are you looking for debt, potential income, taxes?
So one of the things during the divorce process, if someone is getting divorced, people really should be finding an attorney who's been through this before, because not every account is created equally. So if we're splitting retirement accounts, one thing we've seen, unfortunately, through the class that we teach is some people say, well, I got divorced and we just split everything down the middle, and I kept my accounts, they kept their accounts, because they are relatively equal, but they weren't the same tax registration. So for example, $100,000 in a traditional IRA is not the same thing as $100,000 in a Roth IRA. That Roth IRA is 100% tax-free. The traditional IRA, you owe taxes on that money when you withdraw it.
Yeah.
So if there's different tax registrations, IRAs, traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, non-qualified accounts, these things need to be split very carefully to make sure both spouses get equal tax treatments on those dollars as well.
We talk about the psychological relationship with money so much. There is such a psychological relationship if you're in your 50s or 60s and considering this, you are almost as married to that money as you are the spouse.
Yeah, it's a huge component of this, and that's why in the first segment we talked about relationship and money and how important it is. And again, this is why it's so important that you and your spouse are on the same page. And this is a team sport. Being married, just like anything with marriage and with a relationship, this is a team sport, and people have to be on the same team when it comes to money, because if they're not, people, roughly about 30-40% of marriages, money is a problem that leads to divorce, and that money problem does not go away through divorce. It often gets amplified.
Dave Ramsey's out there, whether you like him, not like him. One of the things that he says is, if you have a my account in your account, chances are that marriage has a much more likely opportunity to fail. Have Have you seen that in your experience? I don't know if that's even a fair question, but is that a likely scenario?
So I don't know the data, so I don't want to speculate on having his and hers accounts, if that increases the chance of divorce or not. We have seen cases where that works fantastically as long as both people are transparent and on the same page. Everyone has a different feeling when it comes to money about fairness, and to each their own. If it works for you, that's great, but both people have got to be on the same page, because the problem really pops up when both spouses think they are on the same page with money, but really there's some financial infidelity going on, and that can take a lot of different shapes. That can be spending, it can be giving more money to the kids than expected. We've seen that before, and so making sure both spouses are on the same page, that is step number one.
Communication piece.
Yeah, it is a
hard.
tricky thing.
It's hard.
Because if one person says, "Look, I want to buy little Johnny a car when he turns 16," and the other person says, "Absolutely not. We're not doing that." I mean, that's a big battle.
Yeah, it is, and it's hard to compromise. Either buy the car or don't. So we have to find somewhere in the middle that makes both people happy.
So many great education resource tools. Retirement Education Foundation, refedu.org. Check Michael out there.
Thanks, Michael.